studio, we have the owner, operator, and head producer of Carpet Booth Studios, Zach Zurn. Zach, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. And then opened a temporary space in Rochester downtown about a year and a half ago to work with a couple local artists. And word of mouth spread that we had a small studio. I didn't have a name for it. It was just Zach Zurn's random little spot downtown. And, which is it doesn't roll off the tongue.
It's an interesting secondary name.
And word spread, and so honestly, probably from being there I was 2 weeks into being in this space, and word of mouth was spreading, and then my phone started ringing off the hook for people needing recording services. So I started to bring them in, and after a year of being in this, I think a polite way to say it is very humble space downtown. It was a good place to get started, but there wasn't a lot of longevity in the size or the vibe of the spot. We really saw that we have an opportunity to secure a new space that would be much more fitting for larger scale, higher quality projects that we really wanted to work on. So we toured a bunch of places, and we found this old church building just a little south of Rochester, and the church is building a new church, and so that's why this church is for sale. And we teamed up with a couple investors and went ahead and took the leap with our fingers crossed and moved to this space, and we're really excited about it.
It's a beautiful space.
Thank you. Yeah. We're really excited about the opportunity to have a Studio A upstairs.
That's great. It's not even a possibility anymore. Yeah. It's an actuality.
I have to start changing my language. Yeah. Studio A upstairs, which will be sort of full service, full console, very analog gear focused, bit higher price point, but really, really nice gear. And then the beauty about the downtown space that we had was it was small and accessible, and it was in a space that I kind of hit a price ceiling right away that I felt like I could offer for clients. It was a very affordable rate. Right. I kind of hit that almost right away and kept it the whole time I was there because I didn't really feel like it was fair to charge more than that. The beauty about having that low price point was I attracted a lot of beginner and local musicians that really didn't have an opportunity before we existed downtown to have an affordable and accessible place to record their music. I loved playing that role in the local greater Rochester area music scene for giving those artists a place to get high quality sounds. And so we'll have a Studio B in the space, which will be still quite the upgrade from what we were at downtown, even the Studio B space, with a larger live room and a large control room. And that will be a space for a more affordable rate and a simpler setup where those kind of artists can still get great quality sounds. So that kind of transitions into how to improve it. We talk constantly about how we just need a bit more support from the city and the city leadership, I'd say. There seem to be plenty of roadblocks that come up whenever new venues try to open or new sort of creative arts industries open. And there's not even any specific names I have in mind or anything like that of people. But one thing we're really missing is a legitimate mid-sized music venue where there's an installed sound system and we can bring nice, high-level indie artists through the area. Well, I think overall, again, similar to how we were talking about with music, I am an indie film lover. So I'm not the one that's going to fly across the country to go to a Sundance or another film festival. Even though I do drive over to Winona and go to the Frozen River Film Festival as much as possible because they have an awesome thing going there. I went to school in Winona too, so it's nostalgic.
It's a good plug. As people can go to film festivals as possible.
Yeah, Frozen River.
Winona's not far. Awesome. You don't have to go to Sundance.
No, there's amazing festivals all over Winona. But I do love. And I always forget the name. A27 is that?
A24.
A24. I always get that.
Minus
27 is my favorite number, so I always throw that in there. A24. Basically, anything they do, I almost always love.
Yeah. For those out there, they recently did Lady Bird, Moonlight, Best Picture a couple years ago is A24. Recently, they had Hereditary, a lot of really good horror. Sorry, go ahead.
Ex Machina, was that?
Ex Machina, a couple years ago.
Machina,
they did incredible stuff. I think they've put out somewhere in the realm of 30 to 40 films, and all of them are worth seeing. Their first film was Spring Breakers with James Franco. It came out in 2013.
And it's kind of interesting because I think they exist in between the indie and mainstream role. Most all of their movies hit major theaters in major cities, which is really cool. So they're still really accessible. There's a lot of indie films I've seen, really hard to find a showing. which is really cool.
Not anymore. But I'm glad you mentioned A24 because that is sort of our lane as Grey
Awesome.
Duck Theater. We focus on indie film. We love to get pictures out there that people aren't watching, or at least can't find if they want to watch it. We want to give a venue to that, a real voice to an artistic side of film. But we also don't hate fun. You know what I mean? Like, we're not sitting in our cafe talking about French existential filmmakers all the time. I'll do that with you. If you're out there and you want to do that, hit me up. But also, you know, we just love film in general.
Yeah.
And that's what A24 is. They put out fun, they put out horror, they put out really thoughtful, wacky films.
Yeah, emotional films,
all over the spectrum. So I'm glad you mentioned them. That's a good plug.
That's perfect.
And Grey Duck Theater is hoping to provide a venue for that sort of thing.
Awesome. So outside of them, we had briefly mentioned Tarantino earlier as well. Love his stuff. One of my top favorite films of all time is both of the Kill Bills.
Fascinating.
I love that franchise for some reason. It's quirky and weird and dark. And I don't know, even my humor that I like in comedy is pretty dark and pretty dry. So any of that sort of stuff that like makes you kind of grimace but like laugh at the same time, but you're not sure if you should be laughing sort of stuff, almost always gets me going.
So Tarantino is really your guy. I mean, that's a great...
Yes, and I love how, even though I'm not into like gory movies, like all of the, you know, blood scenes in there, but they're so bright red that it's sort of like fake looking, and I like how like fantasy it almost is.
Yeah.
So outside of Kill Bill, a few of my other favorite films that I will like die on the hill for are Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Great pick.
Okay, and I'm just a Carrey fan as a whole. But what a different role for him. So cool. One that's a little surprising for me to even admit, but one of my favorite films is Adaptation. I mean, Meryl Streep will steal my heart all the time. But Nicolas Cage is one of the main actors in there, which is, he gets all the shtick in the world, but I think he actually does a great job in that film. Not quite the Wicker Man performance level, so he did a good job in that. And then I'd say Royal Tenenbaums. Love that.
You're hitting all the great indie
perfect. Yeah.
hits here.
I know. I'm going to be a
you got
great
Wes Anderson, Tarantino. You just need a Paul Thomas Anderson, and you're like the guy.
Yeah, and then I would say maybe I love Pixar as well, like animation stuff, but Fantastic Mr. Fox is probably one of my favorite. It's probably my favorite animated film as a whole. It's so
favorite
quirky.
Wes Anderson film as well.
Yeah, I'd go that far.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I love that film.
That's a great movie. I mean, what the cuss? More people need to see it, right?
Absolutely.
If you haven't seen Fantastic Mr. Fox, absolutely see it.
Very good.
It's great.
It's great.
Excellent. So here in Rochester, what is you're being a huge indie film fan?
Yeah.
Have you felt? I don't want to be negative on you, but do you feel that you were served in that way? Is it hard to find showings? How do you, as an indie film fan, how do you feel like being in Rochester? You have access to those sort of films.
We don't.
Okay.
My wife and I we talk often about wanting to see all of these type of films that we've talked about, and so we'll check Google for showtimes. It says not playing in your area, not playing in your area.
Right.
There's I think
the dreaded Fandango.com.
Yes.
You know, showtimes within 20 miles.
Yes, absolutely. And so there have been a couple times, I can't remember which film specifically, but we have driven up to the Minneapolis, St. Paul area specifically to see a movie that we knew we wanted to see in theaters because it wasn't showing here. But other than that, if it's not showing or we really want to see it, we just wait until it's available for streaming or to get it as a rental, which is a bummer because there is everybody. If you're an American, for the most part, you can agree on the fact that going to the movie theater is one of the best experiences. It's nostalgic. It is emotional. It's such a cool thing to do with family and friends and romantic relationships. Like, everybody has such fond memories of the movie theater as a whole.